Compared to my original 2025 list, 4 out of these 5 models are different since that last video. I want to introduce them to you as I've walked in them extensively, and in this video I'll break down their fit, comfort, support and who they're best for. And don't worry, I'll compare their cushioning, weight, drop and width too. Let's start off with the Hoka Clifton 10, which had a major upgrade since version 9. It's the most versatile daily walking shoe in this update. It still uses Hoka's signature CMEVA foam, but this year it's noticeably softer and more compliant. The drop has been bumped back up to 8 mils, with 42 mils in the rear foot, 34 mils in the forefoot. The toe box is slightly wider than what we saw on the Clifton 9, and that's a major improvement in our eyes. So it allows for your toes to splay a little bit more space for your toes to wiggle. While it may not have the same amount of space as the Hoka Gaviota 5, it has a lot more than all the other Hoka models in the market, and when it's combined with the nice cushioning and the padding underneath the forefoot, it really makes a big difference. It's moved up to an 8 mil drop rather than the previous 5 mil drop we've seen in all of the Clifton models, so that will suit with the majority of the population, provides a nice even distribution of pressure across your foot, and it can help offload the Achilles at the same time. It also comes in a wide version as well, and for those of you who need an extra bit of rigidity in the forefoot, it's nice and stiff in the toe box as well. In the rear foot, it's got plenty of flexibility in the heel counter, so it's moderately stiff, and it has adequate padding to provide support for those of you who have sensitivity in the back of the heel. So this is an excellent option if you're looking for a shoe for standing for long periods of time or for walking all day. It's versatile, it's a bit of a workhorse of a shoe, and of course if you wanted to use it for some easy runs, it's an excellent option as well. Then we move on to the only shoe that we've kept in it from our previous video in January, and that's the Cloudmonster 2. It's one of the most responsive shoes on the list. With a TPU plate and a dual density helium midsole, it's relatively firm despite looking quite padded, so when you apply pressure to it, you sink into it a little bit, relatively balanced, it pushes you back out again pretty quickly. So the TPU plate within the shoe acts as a form of spring, so when you apply tension to it, it tends to propulse you forward. So it's an excellent option in giving you balanced cushioning. You don't sink into it as much as what we saw in the Clifton 10, and it has a 6mm drop, so 2mm lower than the Clifton 10, with 36 mils in the rear foot, 30 in the forefoot, so it's not as max cushion as it looks, and it fits in with more of that traditional model. We classify it as a stable neutral shoe. It's got some sidewalls on the inside and the outside of the shoe, nice broad base support, and the TPU plate adds that extra element of stability to it. Now one of the reasons that we love it is for the summer. It's got a single engineered mesh on top, so a really thin layer that's really breathable for those hot summer days, and it's a true to size and length with plenty of space in the forefoot. It's got excellent laces for locking down, and it's got a super thin lace, again excellent for the hotter weather, and it's nice and flexible in the rear foot, so those of you with sensitivity there shouldn't have a problem either. So overall, if you're looking for a stable neutral shoe that's quite balanced, that's quite quick to turn over if you're a faster walker, and the Cloudmonster 2 can be an excellent option for you. It's one of our personal favourites, relatively lightweight for the amount of cushioning that's packed in, and super light on top. Then we move on to the New Balance 1080 V14. Now we didn't include the V13 in our previous videos because it was just too soft underfoot. However, we think we got the mixture just right in the V14. So it's still relatively plush, you sink into it, it's nice and comfortable and soft, but it's not too mushy, doesn't make the shoe unstable like we saw on the V13. It's also a 6mm drop similar to the Cloudmonster 2, but we got 38 in the rear foot, 32 in the forefoot, so it's 2 mils more of cushioning underneath your foot compared to the Cloudmonster 2. And on top it's completely different to the Cloudmonster 2 as well. It's got a much more plush upper, so it's much more comfort focused. It's a true to size and length, but it comes in a wide and an extra wide version as well. It's got the Fresh Foam X cushioning, and it's got new forefoot flex grooves which assist with the push off phase of the gait cycle and just make it a little bit more flexible despite the amount of cushioning underneath your foot. It's got moderate rigidity in the heel cup, and it's got lots of padding, plenty more padding than what we see in the Cloudmonster 2, and it's got a much thicker, more plush tongue that fits in with that kind of comfortable model that we look for in the New Balance 1080. So the 1080 is really the most popular walking shoe of the New Balance range. Really comfortable, really soft on the foot without being unstable. It's what we classify as a classic neutral shoe. So an excellent option overall if you're looking for a versatile trainer for standing for long periods of time. If you want to walk, move at faster paces, this is an excellent option for you. Then we're going to move on to one of the more staple shoes in the Brooks brand, and that's the Brooks Go 17. So this is the best selling model within the Brooks range, and there's a reason for that. It's a staple every year. They don't change it up too much. We've got 10 mils of drop this year compared to the 12 mils we saw in the previous model, so slightly lower, but the highest drop of all 5 shoes that we're talking to you about today. It has 36.5 mils in the rear foot, 26.5 in the forefoot. So it has the least amount of padding in the forefoot of all 5 shoes. So if that's something that's important to you in terms of protection underneath your forefoot, keep in mind with a 10 mil drop is going to place extra pressure on the forefoot, and you don't have as much padding underneath your foot. For the majority of the population, this won't be an issue for you. For those of you who have problems with their Achilles tendon, we know classically a higher drop shoe helps to offload the Achilles tendon, so this is the highest drop shoe of all 5 shoes. Then in terms of the midsole, we've got DNA Loft nitrogen injected midsole, which is much more balanced than what we saw in the previous models. So when you apply pressure to it, you sink it into it a little bit and then it pushes you back out again. So it's quite responsive, it's relatively flexible in the forefoot and more flexible than the other 5 shoes as well. So if you're looking for a slightly faster shoe that's lighter than the other shoes, then the Go 17 is an excellent option. On top we've got a wide and an extra wide as well. It's a true to size and length. We've got some padding around the tongue, and we've got loads of padding around the heel cup, and it's quite stiff around the heel cup. So those of you with sensitivity there may not enjoy it, but adds extra elements of stability. We have some mild sidewalls on the inside and the outside of the shoe, so we classify this as a stable neutral shoe rather than the New Balance 1080, which is just a classic neutral only. Then finally, I want to move on to a more stable shoe, and that's the Hoka Gaviota 5. Now the Arahi 7 is the other stability shoe in the Hoka range that we talked about in our previous video. It's not as stable as what we see in the Gaviota 5, and there's a couple of reasons that we chose it for this video that we want you to know about. Now one is it has the best toe box of all the shoes in the Hoka range, so it's really broad in the forefoot, so you've got lots of space in there. So if we look at it compared to the Go 17, there's just no comparison. So loads of space in there, but they've also mastered the fit because they made it relatively tight in the midfoot and in the heel, so it's nice and snug there so your foot's not swimming about, and then loads of space for your toes to display. So an excellent upgrade from the Gaviota 4. It's got the CMEVA cushioning, the same that we see in the Clifton 10, so it's a relatively plush cushioning. It's more focused on comfort than responsiveness, and you've got a 6 mil drop with 36 mils in the rear foot, 30 in the forefoot. It's the heaviest of all 5 shoes though, coming in around 310 grams for a size 9 men's US. However, it packs in lots of stability. So it's got Hoka's H-frame, which sits in the midsole, so we've got denser foam that sits on either side of the outside of the midsole, and a bar that runs across the middle, so it kind of looks like a figure 8, and that provides stability along the outside of the shoe, kind of like the guide rail system that we see in the Brooks range to help keep your foot centered in the shoe, but it also provides torsional stability to the shoe as well. So we have big sidewalls on the inside and the outside of the shoe, a H-frame, a really broad base of support. These 3 features make it more of a moderate to max stability shoe. So if you're someone who struggles with pronation moments, overpronation and pronation control, the Hoka Gaviota 5 is an excellent option for you, and it provides more stability than the Arahi 7, and it has a much broader toe box. The upper on top is very plush, so it's very comfort focused, loads of padding around the tongue and the heel cup, and it's got a nice pull on tab as well. So it's an excellent option if you're looking for a lower drop shoe with max cushion and max stability. So we've got 5 contrasting shoes. As we said, we've got the Gaviota 5, which is a max stability. We've got 2 stable neutral shoes in the Go 17 and the Cloudmonster 2, and 2 classic neutral shoes in the Clifton 10 and the 1080 V14 in the New Balance. They all provide different types of support, different types of features, fit and comfort. Hopefully I covered that all for you, but if you have any questions on them, please drop them in the comment section below. We have links to all 5 shoes in the description below if you want to check out the latest prices. And if you found the video interesting or you want more in-depth reviews on each shoe, we have individual reviews of them in detail and comparison videos to each shoe in the range. If you found the video helpful, like and share and subscribe, it makes a massive difference, and thank you very much for tuning in again.